Did Bomb Squad die? No, Bomb Squad did not die. I'm working on Bomb Squad every single day, like all day. I know it probably seems to some people like Bomb Squad died because there hasn't been any like updates to the game on the store in a few months, but that's just because I've been working on like a really big update or a really big like internal update. Um, so there's Bomb Squad 1.7.20. That's if anyone hasn't been here, that's basically what I'm working on. So it's like this big, code refactor, like moving a bunch of stuff around and getting a bunch of stuff ready for like 1.8, which will be the more noticeable big update where like we're gonna have some fun new stuff like asset downloads and things like that. So, but I've been working on 1.7.20, which is basically getting a bunch of pieces ready for that. So and then yes, iOS will be coming. Again, yeah, the plan for iOS is 2.0, so I know it's still a little ways off, but I'm working as fast as I can to get there. Yeah, I am using 1440p 60 FPS stream. Is this cause problems for anyone? I know it's like the default settings and probably matches my monitor pretty closely or whatever. So um, if it would benefit anyone for me to do like 30 FPS or something, I could totally do that. I'm curious. 1720 scares me. Yeah, I'm hoping it won't be that scary. There's really like if you're a modder, there's probably not too many big changes. Um, it's mostly it's mostly just like me putting things in boxes and organizing things under the hood. But like the user facing stuff or like the modder facing stuff, like the Python modules and all that, it's mostly the same. There's the main thing is like the module you import. Instead of like importing BA, it'll just be like import BA scene v1 as BA or whatever. You can like import. It'll have a different name. The thing you import will have a different name, but you can like import it as BA if you want, or you can. There's little tricks you can do so that you don't have to probably change most of your code, or you can just do like a quick search and replace, and find all your instances of like BA dot whatever and replace it with like BS dot whatever or BA scene v1 dot whatever. Um, Again, as soon as I'm still haven't released it yet, but I do plan to when I do finally get it at least out there and like have people testing it and getting it close to releasing. I'd like to at least dedicate part of one of these to just going over like how to update a mod or problems you might run into or something. Um, so yeah, hopefully the technical part won't be too scary for people. Um, yeah, I know there's some. I do feel bad that this is taking so long because yeah, there are bugs and things with the version 1.7 that I can't address any bugs right now because it's like the whole thing is like ripped apart on the operating table and I'm like furiously doing surgery on it. So it's unfortunately there will probably be some new bugs from all these changes, but yeah, as soon as as soon as I get this thing taped back together, then I can start squashing those bugs and we'll get everything to a better place. I remember there was a Google Play Games page on Net. Yeah, on the Gather section, the Net Play section, there used to be Google Play. Um, Unfortunately, Google stopped supporting that, so it was a Google Play library basically where you could do it would like they would handle the networking part of it, and it would just allow you to like connect to any other Google Play people. But yeah, unfortunately that went away. So that's why I had to scramble a bit to kind of like change things after that and kind of replace that with running my own servers and stuff like that. But I'm kind of happy that I did that anyway because like the Google Play stuff, the downside of things like that, I mean, it was a cool technology, but the downside is then it only worked with other Google Play people. So, if someone's using like the PC version of the game, then they couldn't use that to connect to other people. So, in a way, it's kind of nice to roll my own or like to put stuff in there that works on all platforms. So I'm trying to do that as much as possible. Any chance we get another game similar to Bomb Squad? I mean, part of the reason I made Bomb Squad and part of the reason I made like the Python scripting and tried to make it kind of open ended is that I'd like to experiment with more gameplay styles and like other types of play, but within the context of Bomb Squad, maybe generalizing Bomb Squad more and just trying to keep things manageable like by myself. Doing this kind of as a single indie coder person. Um, the idea of like trying to maintain multiple games or like splitting out, multiple games and putting out multiple games on the store and all that. Like there's a lot of overhead there. And I know I spend tons of time working on like Bomb Squad trying to keep things compatible while adding new stuff and all that. Um, but I think there's something nice about just having like one code base to worry about. And so I do plan to just like keep working on Bomb Squad for a while, or the Ballistica code base, I should call it. But I do, as I said, I would love to like make some different play styles within that. So yeah, stay tuned for that kind of stuff. Oh yeah, and that's how private servers were born. Yes, you were paying attention. Cool. So yeah, private servers were the first. They were kind of initially meant to replace the Google stuff because it became a lot harder for people to like play with their friends. So yeah, I added the private server stuff, which is built on top of my own like you've all probably seen this map a million times, but this whole like setup I'm doing with hosting my own servers all over the world, these little pink dots. So whenever you're running a private server, it's using one of these guys. So it's just like finding the nearest pink purple dot and hosting a server there, and then having you and your friends all connect to that server. Um, so yeah, which is very like it's fun. It's been fun to set up. It's been a lot of work and very kind of tricky, but this is what I want to be using a lot more going forward for like version 1.8, the big or 1.9. I should excuse me. The big feature in 1.9 will be like the squad system, where basically more gameplay will be going through these servers. So where like you'll invite a few friends to your squad and then play games against other squads or play against computers or whatever, but you'll be playing on these servers. So I'm very excited to get to that point. But yeah, that's that's still coming up in 1.9. Um, but yes, I will launch on iOS. But yeah, that's the plan is for 2.0 will be the iOS and Steam launch. Um, I do feel bad because like I'm in the US and iPhones are, I think, a bit more popular than Android here. Like there's tons of iPhones. So it's like there's so many people, like most of my friends, or a lot of my friends have iPhones. I'm actually an iPhone person, but I mean, I like Android too. But yeah, so there's like so many people I know who have like never played the game or can't play the game easily because they don't have Android right now. So I definitely want to get iPhone. Um, when will it launch? I've learned I can't give dates because I never hit them. Like I'm working on the game every day as fast as I can, trying to get to 2.0, but it'll still be a little while. Maybe I can get like a test flight version going before the actual launch, just to kind of work out bugs and stuff. But it's hard to say. I mean, anytime I throw out a date, I feel bad about it because like I either it winds up taking longer than than that or whatever. Yeah, so new skins and maps in the official game. That's kind of the plan for 1.8. So that's the next kind of major version is 1.8, which will, I'm technically working on that now. Like 1.7.20, which is this minor version that I've been working on for like months now. As I mentioned, that's basically kind of a bunch of the work for 1.8. And so 1.8 is going to enable some really cool stuff like asset downloads, being able to add new characters and mods and variations of characters on the store, and then people will just be able to like download those instead of having to like everyone having to update their game to get those new things. So I'm very excited about that. So that means in 1.8 there should be some new characters and skins and maps and things like that because the tech will be in place for me being able to do that stuff. I apologize I haven't added any new characters or anything like that for a while, but it's largely just because I wanted to get that stuff in place first. Topic today, I don't really have anything on the schedule for today. I'm just still in the middle of, I mean, I can go over like some of the nerdy tech stuff I've been working on for the 1.7.20 update, but yeah, I don't have any official agenda items today, so it's just kind of a Q&A or whatever anyone wants to talk about. Pirate Speak continues to improve. There's been a number of contributions to Pirate Speak lately. Let's see how we're looking. I don't have an official link there somewhere, but okay. Pirate Speak 55. Oh wow, we're over halfway done. This is amazing. we're getting there. So thank you to all the pirates out there. Uh, I'm really curious to flip that on once it gets done because like so many people have contributed like little snippets of pirate speak. I'm curious if it'll be like coherent at all, or like if you'll be able to like navigate the interface, or if it's just going to be like yar everywhere. Either way, I'm happy. Um, there's I think I'm a little bit behind. I think there's been a few language contributions in the last week. I need to check on those and approve them or whatever. Whenever, if any of you have done like language translation stuff, like I have to like scan over it and like check it in Google Translate just to make sure people aren't like messing with me or like to try to make sure. I'm sure there's probably some people have snuck things through, but please don't, because then someone else has to come and fix it, so it just kind of wastes people's time. But yeah, and I do. I think I've mentioned this before. I'd love to get the translation system a little more advanced so people can do things like voting or something, or if because I feel like that happens sometimes where somebody will like translate something from the game to their language and then someone else will like translate it again like a week later in a slightly different way. And then the first person will like change it back. So it's like dueling banjos, like these, there can be multiple people. It could be like dialects and stuff too. It's like I think that's happened with like Portuguese because there's like Brazilian Portuguese and like Portugal Portuguese. So like and apparently I guess there's some differences in how they stay kind of like American English and like UK English. So I get people I think from both sides probably contributing things and then some everyone has their opinion on what should be the right one. Speak gibberish. So trivia, I put gibberish in there just to like test the translation system, just to make sure that if I flip it to gibberish, I just want to make sure that like everything I see in the game is gibberish. So if I see something that still is like English or understandable, then it means like I know I've forgotten to like add a translation entry for that. 1.8 update have skins for the characters like spaz on the profile menu or on choosing the character. Yeah, I'd like to do that. I'd like to do something like that actually. Just I'm really hoping to like add more customizations for, if you pick spaz as your character, like, being able to do like some slight different like subskins or some slight different patterns on his armor or variations on armor, things like that. I kind of don't want to like add too many characters to the game because then it like dilutes it, to where it's like character overload, but I think it could be cool to have more variations on the characters that are there. Yeah, I'd love to add a monkey character. I think that'd be funny. I'm trying to, yeah, like any ideas you all have on like characters you think would be fun. The basic thing is I want characters to be identifiable easily. Like, oh, that's a monkey or something. Or not to say they should be generic, but just something where if you're playing a game with friends and you're screaming like, oh, stop the monkey, stop the monkey. It's just something where everyone knows who you're talking about. That's why yeah, things that stand out or like monkey or mummy or vampire or robot or just something where it's kind of like you kind of everyone knows how to identify a character quickly. Not that it wouldn't be fun to like make cool characters that are like crazy combinations of things or just totally like whimsical, but I don't know. I think it's important to just think of like, oh, what are people going to call this? Or like how are people gonna label this when they're yelling at their friends? Yeah, Spaz is, I don't know. He's maybe a little odd. He's kind of just like soldier guy. He's kind of generic soldier. I guess that's a good point though. Like when yeah, if Spaz steals a flag, like what do people yell? Like, oh, stop the soldier guy. Yeah, huh. Bye everyone. Oh, you're leaving? People acting like shit. It's good to hear what people want though too. It's I don't know. Good to keep my finger on the pulse of what people are. I feel like I did that when I first launched the game. There were some very glaring omissions because originally the game was only local multiplayer. So because I basically made it to play with my friends on like a TV, and so it didn't even have like single player stuff. So when I first launched the game on the store, it was literally like only local multiplayer. And so everyone was just asking like, why can't I play this? Or I was just like looking at store reviews and it was very clear that like so many people just wanted First it was just like single player stuff. Like, why isn't there a single player campaign? Like, I can't play this. Like, this is useless. Blah blah blah. So, it's definitely useful to kind of keep an eye on what people are thinking. Then of course after that I got a campaign in for version like 1.1 or 1.2. And then the next thing was like online multiplayer. Everyone's like, why can't I play this online? Like, I don't have friends at my house. Oh, your music library included downloads folder. That's awesome. Like, what? Can I make Bomb Squad run at more than 60 FPS? On some platforms, like right now, Android supports that. If you have like a high frame rate Android phone, it should run at like 120 or whatever. Um, the Mac test builds should do that, though I think it's a little bit buggy. I need to expose that. It's really easy to, or I mean, it's basically hard coded right now. Like on the PC and Linux versions, it's hard coded to run at like 60 frames per second, regardless of what your monitor is at. Um, so I need to just update that. I mean, if nothing else, I could expose that as a control where it's just like you set the frame rate, like, hey, run at 120 hertz or try to. Um, that's probably not the best way to do it. Like, I should ideally make the game like detect what your monitor is and try to match that and be smart about it. So I want to do that at some point for the PC and Linux builds, but right now they're stupidly kind of hard coded. But that's definitely, it's not like an engine limitation or a game limitation. So if anyone's adventurous right now, I can show you where, or if you want to compile the game yourself, which is not actually hopefully too hard, but if you want to do that, I can show you where that number is. Just delete the 60 and replace it with 120. Like I said, I should probably put maybe a hacky control in there for just setting that in like graphic settings, but that feels kind of bad. Like usually people don't have to go in and like type in their frame rate. That's kind of like an old school PC game with a config file. It seems kind of like that. Um, but yeah, long story long is yeah, a few versions don't correctly pick up the monitor's display rate, but it does support high frame rates. Um, Though technically, like if you have a crazy refresh rate, like 250 or so, or I don't know what are the fastest refresh rates you can get on like gaming monitors? It's like 200 something these days, or there's probably some insane like expensive one that goes up to like 500 or something, right? 244, okay. Um, yeah, so the game, like the physics engine updates at 120 hertz if you're running at regular speed. Um, so that means like the physics stuff is stepping 120 times per second. So even if your monitor ran faster than that, you wouldn't see any more updates unless I added like interpolation or something. But but the game, like, it should be able to take nice advantage of a 120 hertz monitor at least, because then you can see like every single physics step. Yeah, I use that phrase a lot. Long story long. I'm never good at long story short. Adam, a character got as a tournament prize. Yes, I would love this. This will probably be more possible. Like right now, it's going to be a tricky balance. Like right now, it's anything that I can add as a tournament prize or whatever. It's going to be easy for modders to unlock that. Um, but with like squads mode or certain things like that, I think it should be more possible to have things like that are definitely gated to where like, oh, you can get this skin if you won this tournament. Um, but it should be hopefully possible to mostly prevent modders from using some of those things. We'll see. I mean, I don't want to like spend too much time trying to stop modders from doing stuff. Because at the end of the day, it's like it's their game. They want to hack around on it. It's their computer. It's like. But I totally understand too. Like we don't want modders to be impersonating other people or unlocking everything for themselves and stuff like that. Like so there's a fine line there somewhere. But yeah, I would definitely like at least for like squads mode, like stuff where it's running on my own servers, it should be possible to have skins or icons or achievement notices or certain things where it's like you can be sure that that's like legit. So that's one of the other kind of nice things about even though it's very complicated, like getting everything running on my own servers is I'll be able to kind of control that stuff. Uh, just so if you unlock something cool, you'll know that other people can't do that by adding a Python file to their their phone. A rank system like online random matchmaking 4v4. Yeah, this is exactly like what I'm excited for with the squad system is being able to do stuff like that. I just need to get it started. I'm hoping to get like an early version started maybe during 1.7 just to kind of like as an example and just to start ironing out kinks and things like that. But just kind of like getting my server system smart enough to where it can do like matching people up basically, being able to tell my server like, oh hey, look for somebody within 500 miles of this person, for the next 20 seconds. If you find them, put them in a game. Take other factors into account, like their, I don't know, skill level or ranking or something like that. It'll be interesting to see like what is possible. Um, One thing I'll have to think about too, like with this stuff though, is like in some parts of the world, or if you're playing a certain mod or a certain like game mode or something that like nobody else has, like it's not going to be able to find people. So like what does it do in that case? Does it either like match you against someone like on the other side of the planet to where you have like a crazy laggy game, or is there like a fallback where it like puts you in a game with some bots or something like that? Like that's kind of a it seems like that's somewhat of a normal thing. I don't know what do you guys see in games like that? If there's like a game that's maybe not popular anymore or never was super popular, or you're playing like an obscure like play mode in that game, does it like drop you into a game with like bots or something, or like what do you think is a good way to handle that? You know what the rectangle app is? I do not know the rectangle app. Do you want to tell like what is the rectangle app? Ban the modder. Ugh, this is I'm admittedly bad with moderation right now, like on the tournaments and things like that. So please feel free to like send me info about people hacking and stuff. But like I don't have a ton of time to you know investigate and see who's really hacking or who's causing problems. But definitely let me know or send support the support email if you can give me details about stuff like that. Um, Button for denounce someone for hacking and being toxic. This goes into the squad stuff. Another plan for squads is to not have like global chat by default. So you'll be able to chat with your squad members, like your friends that you invited to play, but you won't see chat from like everyone in the game. Um, this is something I feel like maybe it'd be okay to opt into, like if people did want to chat with like randos online, but I kind of feel like just having emotes and simple ways to communicate with the other team is probably safer, for avoiding toxic situations. Like I said, unless you want to expose yourself to toxic situations. Something I needed when I found out. Oh, interesting. Huh. All right. I'm curious to look into it. For most of my life, I've been a Mac person. I mean, I've used PCs for some stuff, and I've used Linux a lot actually. But yeah, I'd be curious to just to see what that is. Like, if someone coming from the Windows side, like, what do you miss when you come to the Mac side? I know, going both ways. It's or going anyway, like switching operating systems or phones or anything else. I'm sure there's things where it's like, this feels unnatural because it's not what I'm used to. So it'd be interesting to see like what the pain points are there, coming from the Windows side. But I like all operating systems. I'm just kind of I'm stuck in the Apple ecosystem now, which is fine by me. It's like, I get my work done. I don't want to, I don't want to turn it into like a religious holy war or something like that. Like, oh, Windows sucks or anything. Cause no, Windows is awesome. Especially if you're a gamer. Macs suck for gaming. I mean, they're fine, like the few games that run on them, but there's just not much of a library there. Spamming in the chat. Yeah, it does seem to be like yeah, like chat spam and BS or people like I know I've made a few changes, like people have requested changes, just to try to combat that a little bit, like people that are like chat spamming and just trying to like fill people's screens with nonsense, and that sucks. Tried to prevent some of the most egregious stuff, but like I said, I feel like just making it impossible to do that would be the ideal. So that's why I think like emotes, making it so that like the worst you can do is slightly annoy someone with an annoying emote once every 30 seconds or something like that. I feel like that's hopefully the solution. Lots of servers putting ads in their servers. Oh, really? I mean, I can't really control like if people are running servers just on the standard like server list. That's all on their machine. Like they can do pretty much anything. Like I mean, I guess I could, like, is that becoming a problem? Like, is it annoying people? Are there just like super spammy servers that are unplayable? I mean, I guess we could make like a policy where like if your server has ads, but if someone's doing that, like they're just, if they're having a nice server but they have ads, like maybe that's not a terrible thing. Oh, interesting. Oh yeah, yeah. I guess Windows does have that like nice window snapping, where yeah, that is missing on Mac. It's there are certain things where like I don't know, you drag it to the top to throw it in another desktop and stuff like that. But oh geez, which I just did. Events related to holidays like Thanksgiving. I would love that. That would be awesome. I That's another part of the my plans for 1.8 is the whole downloadable assets, being able to push a new version of a character without having to update everyone's game. Yeah, that should make it easier to do fun stuff like adding adding weird holiday characters, little like leprechaun for St. Patrick's Day or whatever else. Um, I know there's just been like Santa Claus and the Easter Bunny for years, which is fun. I always enjoy like getting to turn those folks on for. Though I felt bad this year for Easter. I totally I dropped the ball. Someone sent me an email like 3 days before Easter, like where's the Easter Bunny? And like where's the Easter egg hunts? And I was like, oh no. So I'm sorry if anyone was anxiously waiting for Easter egg hunts this year. You got a little bit less time than you should have. That's the problem with Easter is like it bounces around. It's never like the same day. It's based on whatever it's based on. So like I can't automate it. I mean, I guess I could. I could probably have something that like looks up when Easter is on a certain year and then turns all that stuff on like a few weeks beforehand. But currently, I just like turn it on manually when Easter gets close. Unlike Christmas, I think I can somewhat automate Christmas because that's always December 25th. So I can turn Santa Claus on, December 1st or whenever. Oh, interesting. Yeah, maximize button. There's not to nerd out on OS stuff. They did add an option recently in Mac OS where you can keep the menu bar visible in full screen. I forgot where it is. Oh, I think displays and dock. Oh yeah, yeah. Automatically hide and show the menu bar. You can have like never. So even in full screen mode, the menu bar will stay there. But I don't actually like that because then like in some cases, like if you're playing a game or something, you get your menu bar up there. So it's like ew. So win some, you lose some. But I like it sometime on like on this Mac actually, which is if you've seen the newer Macs, they have the weird like notch at the top, so it's like you can use more of the screen, but it does take a chunk out of your screen. But it's only like right here, so it only covers the menu bar. But it makes it like when you full screen an app, then the app doesn't actually use like the top portion of the screen. So I turn that option on just to keep the menu visible in that case because it's like wasting that space otherwise, if that makes sense. Oh, this made me think of something. A few days ago, a guy made servers with bad names. Yeah, that sucks too. One thing I was thinking, it would be interesting. Everyone always talking about like Chat GPT and all this new stuff. Like, I wonder if that could work. Like talking to like Chat GPT as like a profanity filter. Just like I was thinking about that the other day. Like, I wonder how that would work. Like, if that would be expensive or something. Like using the Chat GPT API. Like every time you like when you host a game or something, just being like asking Chat GPT, like, hey, is this name offensive? Like, I wonder if that would work because I wonder, obviously you can't have just like a big list of names, because people find ways around that to use like funny characters to spell curse words and stuff. But it makes me wonder if like something like Chat GPT could actually do a decent job of like filtering stuff that is trying to be offensive in a sneaky way. So anyway, yeah. If I have a few hours to spare sometime, maybe I'll try to wire something up like that. That could be useful for like like account tag filters or something. Like maybe if people like if there's a button to like complain about someone's account tag, like if they get enough complaints, we could like ask Chat GPT like, hey, is this a bad word? Or there's probably other systems that are more like finely tuned to do things like that, but it just like the fact that everyone's talking about ChatGPT just made me think like, huh, how could I use that? My thoughts about ChatGPT. I mean, I think it's super cool. It's amazing, like, that it comes up with pretty good answers for most things. It seems pretty pretty human in a lot of cases. I mean, it does seem like it will, throw some nonsense at you. It sounds very confident. It's good at giving you confident answers, but it's basically, if you research how it works, it's just kind of like predicting the next word that would come in this sentence based on like all the sentences in existence. So it's usually, it does something good, but occasionally it'll just like give you some complete nonsense. So that's why I'm a little skeptical when I hear people that say like, "Oh, I'm just letting it do all my coding for me" or something like that. So it seems like, yeah, it's like it'll probably get mostly the right answer, but there might be weird subtle bugs that it introduces or something. So there's part of me that's like I don't know if it's good to jump into it too wholeheartedly, but it does seem like it does have some good uses. Like I said, like the profanity filtering, or just fuzzy logic questions that it could answer. That it would, it doesn't matter if it's right 100% of the time, but if it's right like 97% of the time, like that's super cool. Um, but yeah, I just like when I hear about some people saying like, "Oh, I had ChatGPT like write an app for me," like that's when it scares me a little bit, because it's like writing, things like coding. It's all about like those weird little corner cases that you have to get those right, and account for anything that could go wrong. And so if you're using something that is a little bit fuzzy and probably does the right thing by default, but if you have no idea how it works, like those corner cases are going to kick your butt, I think. So anyway, that's just my thought, but I think it's really exciting technology and a little scary too, probably. Add a system that allows resizing the font size of messages in the server. That has also been another, a common request. Yeah, I know some people had like specific thoughts on like, oh, the font sizes should be this certain thing on like maybe we should. I don't know what the answer there is. Like if there's a consensus on like, oh, the mobile version should show things at this font size, or the PC version should show it at this, or we could just make like a few different options for like a large, medium, small on-screen chat font size or something. That I don't know what would be best there. I'm never quite sure like whether it's best to give people a ton of options or whether it's best to like make the decision for them. I feel like there's upsides to both. Sometimes I feel like when something allows me to customize it, I waste a ton of time customizing it. Whereas like if something doesn't give me any options, then I just I'm more productive. So I'm never quite sure like what the right answer is. Ah. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, chat. I think that's the important thing with Chat GPT, is to like realize what it is. It's like it's predicting text. It's predicting it in a really good way, but it's not like thinking about the stuff. It's just kind of taking all of humanity and mushing that together and saying like, what would humanity say as the next word of this sentence? Yeah, AI would be. I mean, well, it depends on your definition of AI. I mean, the bots right now are technically really dumb AI. Um, if you were here a few weeks ago, we had a cool demonstration of, like a trained AI. Like everyone was playing against it on a server. That was fun. Um, so yeah, it'd be fun to see if we can evolve things like that. Or we're having conversations about that. Any way to release 1720? I mean, I will release it as soon. Well, this brings up a question. Is like, because it's going to need a little bit of time. I want to throw it on the GitHub and throw test builds out there just to give people time to update their stuff and work all the bugs out. I'm not quite sure like when I should pull the trigger and do that. I still the things I mentioned last week that are I still need to do. Like some of those are still outstanding. Basically, refactoring a bit more of the Python scripts. Like most of this stuff is in its new place, but BASTD is not. So once I get that in its new place, I like for me that's kind of like the line when this stuff lives in its new it'll be like BAScene v1 lib or something like that. Like when these things have moved to their new locations, that's basically because that'll be the stuff that people have to change. Like instead of importing something from BA standard library, you'll be importing it from like scene v1 standard library, stuff like that. So so I would feel kind of bad about dumping this all on people right now because they'd get all their stuff updated, and then a few days later I rename this, and then they'd have to update their stuff again. So it's like I'd almost rather just get that to a kind of a final state, and then people can just take one big painful pass through their stuff and change all the names. Yeah, that's Ballistica Standard Library is what that stands for. And in my mind, I always just pronounce it just like a Scottish person saying bastard. They're like bastard, or I guess that's like a Boston accent, not Scottish. Like, you bastard. But yeah, the new ones will, because basically the standard library, it just contains a bunch of, contains like all the game types, all the actor types, also all the UI types, like all the individual like windows and things like that make up the game. So there's a lot of stuff in there. And basically now those parts of the game have been split out into their own little systems. So there's like BA Scene V1, which is all like the existing gameplay stuff. So all the parts of the standard library that work with Scene V1 will go into probably like a BA Scene V1 lib or something like that. Just something to say like, hey, this is a bunch of stuff that uses BA Scene V1. And same thing with UI V1. So all the existing windows and things like that use UI V1, they'll go into like a BA UI V1 lib or something. So I know these names are kind of ugly and hard to digest, but as I said, I'll show, like what I'm doing usually is like import BA Scene V1 as BS. So then like when I'm actually coding, I'm just using BS for everything. So then later when you update to like Scene V2 or something, you're still just using BS. It's just like you're targeting a newer version of the API. So again, I'll go into like a deep dive on this stuff, but yeah, that's kind of like the last thing before I expose you all to this monstrosity. I shouldn't say monstrosity. I think it's very cleaned up and very future proof, and I'm very excited about it, just because it'll let us do the other part of 1.8 that I'm excited, or I guess all of 1.8, like the downloadable assets and things like that. Like that'll be like BA Scene V2 basically, because that'll like change how you code stuff, and when you like load textures and models and stuff, you'll have to do it in a slightly different way. And so I'd rather like isolate that into Scene V2 so that people with Scene V1 servers can just keep those running and not have to worry about like updating all their code. It's been tricky to think about, like, how do I keep all the existing kind of hard-coded asset stuff working while also enabling the fancy new downloadable assets? So yeah, and to me that seems like the best approach, is just kind of like cordon off Scene V1 and have it be its own thing, and like that will just continue on. And for the foreseeable future, if you want to code things in the existing Scene V1 way, feel free. So that's kind of the thing, is even though it's going to be a little bit painful to update your mods for 1.7.20 for this new like feature set based world, the hope is once you do that, if you want to keep using BA Scene V1, like it should not change, hopefully very much at all. Like most of the major changes will just be new scene versions. So like if you want to adopt Scene V2 later, you can do that. Or if you want to adopt Scene V3 with fancy client prediction or whatever comes down the pipe, like you can do that. But then you can also just keep using Scene V1 and keep your existing server running for a long time. So again, hopefully this will be like one last painful hump to get over, and then things will kind of be stable in their weird evolving way. Premium. I was trying to think of what to name this. So there's this BA Plus, the Plus feature set, which is basically the internal parts. So that's like the parts that talk directly to the server and deal with accounts and stuff like that. And so that's the one little part of the game that will still be closed source for now. I could have called it premium, but it's not really premium, because that even applies to like the free to play versions of the game and stuff. So it used to be called like internal, but I renamed it to Plus. Just joking. Oh, okay. It did just get me thinking though, like, oh, that's an interesting name. So yeah, I'm super excited to, again, I'm sorry this has taken months. It seems weird for like a minor point update to be taking months. Like if you look at GitHub, it says like nothing's changed in months, but if you look at my GitHub, lots has changed. So if you check out like Ballistica internal is like my internal repo. Yeah, you can see like there's definitely a lot going on in this one. Um, I have very descriptive Git comments. More. So I basically for like the internal GitHub repo, I essentially just use it as like a save. You know, it's like my save state. Because when I push something to the internal repo, then it kicks it out to my CI servers. So that's like my Jenkins server, like all this stuff. Anytime I push something to GitHub, like the internal repo, then like it gets pulled into all these jobs, and so it builds, it checks all the different versions of make sure everything's still building on Linux, on Mac, on Android, whatever. So usually I'll like work for a bit, and then I'll just like push something to GitHub with more or whatever the one word I want to use is. Because then it'll just like in the background it'll be checking it on different platforms. So in a way it feels just like I'm just like running a build like on every platform, which is kind of cool. It's kind of a fun way to work. Check out your Bomb Squad video, please. Oh, is that okay? I will do that after chat or after coffee time. Fix latest fix. Yeah, some days I use more. Some days I use just like stuff. But that's why I'm kind of glad that I have that like internal repo, just because it is so like unorganized. It's just like commit after commit is just like whatever I'm working on. Oh no, failed like 3 times to build a Ballistica build on WSL. If you could, if you want to like let me know the problems you run into, like if we can smooth out bumps, I'd be happy, happy to do that. I know WSL is a little bit weird, Frankensteinish. There is, like, if you're looking at, like, if you go to the Ballistica public repo, whoops. I'll just go through here. Under .github. Workflows, like here's some of the CI stuff that runs on GitHub. Like there's some stuff under Windows here, so this stuff, I don't know, maybe it would be easier to use some of this as this is the commands that it runs under whatever GitHub's Windows CI servers are, and these are always basically working. So I don't know if you want to like base some of your setup on this, or take a look at what this is doing. Or we could add more CI stuff for the Windows side. It's hard to say with WSL. I know like I'm actually like all my CI stuff is running through WSL. But maybe setups can vary drastically or whatever depending on what you have installed or the version of Ubuntu you've got or whatever. Getting DLL missing. Strange. Okay. Yeah, again, it'd be interesting to see, like, I don't know if any of you want to... you probably all have posted this stuff, like, on GitHub discussions or something, and I'm just bad at checking up on it, but yeah, I would like to make that behave better if possible, or get it to work for more people. So if there's... Or like if there's an error that you all are seeing, at least we could have the build process look for that error and add an explanation for it or something like that. Secret access to build Android build too. Yeah, this has come up before, and like I'm not sure. There's part of me that just wants to like add that to the public repo, like Ballistica Kit Android, all this stuff. I'm just wondering if that will, if people would use that for good or evil, So maybe, I don't know. I do hope at some point, like once Windows is out and once iOS is out, to hopefully, maybe release or add all these to public so people can just build the Android version or build the iOS version or the Mac version or whatever, or Windows is already kind of added to public, but right now, yeah, public is basically CMake and Windows. But yeah, at some point it'd be cool to add Xcode in Android. Bomb Squad look on Unreal Engine 5. That would be interesting. Though you'd have to. I'm sure it would. I'm sure with the existing assets and textures and stuff, I don't know what you'd get from Unreal 5. I mean, you'd probably get cool like lighting if you wanted it, maybe GI or something. But I think for a lot of it to look cool, we'd have to like do a lot better, make normal maps for everything, or get a lot fancier with the stuff we're plugging in. But it could be interesting though too, just like how fancy can you make something like really simple assets look with Unreal Engine. Um, it would be yeah. It'd be interesting to see if there's some nerdy way we could like plug Bomb Squad in as or plug Ballistica in as like a plugin for Unreal or something like that to basically just run the whole engine but use their graphics or something. Um, I'd love to on that note. I'd love to like revisit the graphics layer and make it nicer too. It's just for fun. It's nice that Bomb Squad or Ballistica has like it's pretty lightweight. I mean, like I can build the whole project in like 25 seconds or something like that from scratch, which is, it makes it fun and lightweight to work with. But at the same point, it's obviously not going to be able to touch Unreal in terms of like fancy graphics quality and stuff like that. But there's pluses and minuses to both. But it would be cool, like making it possible to like run that in Unreal and just like turn on all the fancy stuff. I know I mentioned this before too. It'd be totally fun to make like a graphics option that like had ray tracing or something because it's like Bomb Squad's not actually drawing that much stuff. So I'd wonder if you could make like a decently nice ray tracer or something that, took the super simple models, but then they had like just super cool shadows and reflections or something like that. I don't plan to make anything high. I mean, I plan to keep the renderer that's in there, and I'd like to not increase the requirements at least on the low end. If there was like a ray tracer or something, that would definitely be like an opt-in thing. Like if you have a beefy PC and you want to like use your beefy PC, like flip this on. But I still want the game to run on like mid-range Android devices or even low end at this point. Like I tried to get it to run on like mid-range Android devices 10 years ago. So at this point, the low-end Android devices should be more than capable of it. I'm sure it's interesting. Like with everything, I'm sure things get a little slower because it's like the Python versions are newer. So we're running like Python 3. Well, actually, oh yeah, this version is Python 3.11, which is exciting. So we're caught up again. But the game started on Python 2. I think it was like 2.5 or 2.4 when I was first coding the game. And so I think that was a lot more lightweight, I'm sure, than like Python 3.11. Plus, yeah, just code slightly growing over the years. I'm sure things run a bit slower than they used to. I feel like I used to care more, or not care more, but these days I feel like I find myself trying to write code that's more clean or maintainable, even if it's not as efficient as it could be. So maybe optimizing a little bit less. So certain things like that where Bomb Squad probably is a bit more resource intensive than it was 10 years ago or when I first wrote it for Android. But still, I don't want to make it like crazy needy on the resource end. But that being said, it could be fun to make that option for people who do have like beefy setups to just kind of take advantage of them a little bit. Because yeah, going back to the original mobile release technically was the Ouya, which was I've mentioned that before, like this old this old thing from like 2013, I think, which is basically an Android phone in a box. It had like a Tegra 3 or Tegra 4 or Tegra 3, I think, maybe Tegra 2, I don't know, some very early like NVIDIA mobile chipset. And the game I got the game running pretty decent on there, but I'd be curious like if I hacked this thing and like got the current version of the game on there, like would it run, or like are the memory requirements too high now just based on like Python code bloat a little bit, or having more Python scripts now, or whatever, or would it still like run acceptably there? But yeah, so but in general, I mean, the game shouldn't be, the game should still be kind of in the ballpark of where it was 10 years ago. So if if you run into a situation where the game is like running terribly on like modern hardware or something, please let me know, because it's like I'd like to not have it do that. Oh, geez, I'm missing all sorts of messages here. After 1720, build ARM32 bomb squad. For which platform are you referring to? ARM32. There's Linux. It should. Let's see. I think right now I'm only compiling, because I do compile on ARM, but I think that's only ARM64, right? Is ARM32 Linux like a thing? Is that? I mean, I guess for like Raspberry Pi and stuff like that. Like, are there a lot of like ARM32 Linux boxes out there or devices? Okay, well maybe that'd be worth doing then. Though I'd have to check. Like right now, my build setup, I have basically I'm doing most of my builds like through cloud builds. So I have these like machines set up. So I have like a Ubuntu ARM Linux box running on AWS, and so I just like send it. I send it the code, have it build me a build, so I get like an ARM 64 build that way. Um, I'd have to see if there's a I don't know if there's like a 32-bit ARM like Ubuntu distro, or I'd have to set up a virtual machine. I mean, I guess I could like cross compile or something, but that sounds tricky. I always prefer to just like compile the native architecture. Um, but yeah, if I could set up a build device that's ARM32 Linux, then I could certainly like spit out ARM32 Linux builds. Next push in public repo when? Again, if you guys would prefer, I could do this sooner rather than later. As I mentioned before, like I am planning to wait until I get assets done. Like that's my kind of cutoff line until I get BASTD renamed to the new names. Like I figured then people could start updating their scripts, because that'll be basically all the changes. Um, but if you guys would prefer, I can push like now or sooner. If people just want to start playing around, just beware that there's going to be some reshuffling still. Any preferences? Like, would you prefer to deal with excessive shuffling, or would you prefer I wait until the shuffling is done? Think what can V2 server give to V1 only client? The way it'll basically work is for when you're hosting a server, you'll have to decide like which scene version to host. So you'll be like, hey, I want to host scene V1 or I want to host scene V2. So if you host scene V2, then only scene V2 people will be able to connect to your server. But then you'll get cool stuff like asset downloads and things like that, or whatever else scene V2 provides. If you're hosting scene V1, it'll be just like you're running an old server. Like only scene V1 people can connect. But again, like new versions of the game still have scene V1, so they'll still be able to connect to your server, but no asset downloads or whatever else. So hopefully that'll make sense. It's basically just like think of it as like game cartridges. Like scene V1 is one game cartridge. You can take that out and put in the scene V2 game cartridge. Oh shoot! Oh no, I didn't. Yeah, I hadn't thought about that. Yeah, if I get it updated, if I get public repo updated, yeah, the CI fail messages should go away. So maybe that in itself is a reason. Like maybe that would make sense. Like maybe I should get the stuff pushed in public, but not like test builds yet, because anyone who's like messing with GitHub kind of knows that they're in for some trouble. So maybe that wouldn't be a bad idea. I could just like get the public GitHub repo kind of back in a working state, and then you wouldn't get annoyed with CI fail messages. Okay, all right, that sounds reasonable. So maybe yeah, when I get to a good stopping point with the thing I'm right in the middle of, then I'll get everything pushed into public. I like it. Okay. Oh yeah, and then yeah, people could update their PRs. It might still be the same depending on what their PR covers. Like if it's covering something in BASTD, that stuff will all be moving over the next week or two, or whenever I get that stuff done. Aw. So well, sleep well. So yeah, and then I can also start looking at those PRs again too. I keep glancing over there and seeing all these PRs building up. So it's like, oh geez. Oh, a tutorial on what is GitHub, how it works. I mean, GitHub is a very general thing. Like there's just like or Git. Like I'm not going to be able to make a better Git tutorial than all the other ones that are out there. So it's if you do want to play with GitHub, like one thing that's useful if you're not like super, if you don't want to like deep dive on like Git command line stuff, GitHub Desktop is a nice little front end to Git. So if you just want to like pull some stuff off of Git, mess with it, maybe submit a PR or something, check out GitHub Desktop. I actually use it all the time for just like diffing things, just so I can see like, oh, what have I been like a lot of times before I wrap something up and push it, I'll just like check this to like quickly go through what I've changed. It's a little bit, I don't know, just a little bit more elegant than doing everything with a command line Git stuff. I mean, there's nothing wrong with command line stuff, but sometimes having a nice clean little GUI to look over is nice. So yeah, so okay, so I'll plan to do that. Maybe hopefully this next week is get the public stuff syncing again. I think hopefully things are settled down enough where that shouldn't be too bad of an idea at this point. As I said, I mostly like this last week I've been working on just kind of finishing up moving everything into their new places with like feature set based stuff. So if you come under like source Ballistica, you'll see like everything now lives under like a feature set name. So there's like the base feature set, which is like most of the stuff, like the graphics, audio engine, input, logic, whatever. There's classic, which will be like bits of the game for like supporting V1 stuff, like kind of older things that will eventually maybe go away, but for now they just kind of they're getting put into their classic box. Core is just like the very low level stuff. So it's basically Ballistic needs core, like it can't survive without core, but all these other bits you can remove them. Plus, as I mentioned, is just like server communication stuff, things like that, like the parts that'll still be closed source. Scene V1, you know what this is. This is all the existing gameplay. Shared, this is just like code. This is the one place. Code under shared is like the one bit of code that's not part of like a feature set. So this is just shared stuff, like math things, matrix, vectors, generic stuff like Huffman compressors, stuff like that. Template FS, I made this little to try to like explain what the whole like feature set thing is. Template FS is just like an empty feature set, so it just kind of shows you if you want to make a feature set of your own. Like if you're doing total conversion mods or you want to like really mess around with the game, like making a feature set might be like an easy way to do it. So I'll go into like how that all stuff works, but just so you know what this is. And then UI v1, this is all like the existing UI low level codes like widgets and things like that. And so again, so everything is officially like put under its little boxes. So now I'm just the one thing left to do is to kind of sever some connections between these. So trying to get the game so it can right now, like literally today, what I'm working on is trying to get it to compile if I rip everything out except for core, because like Ballistica should be able to work with just core. And, like there shouldn't be any dependencies on these other things. And once I get that going, then I'll just do like just core and just base. So like those things should be able to exist by themselves without anything else. So there's lots of little like pruning and snipping and like moving things around and stuff. But basically the end result is a much more maintainable system. And the big part will be like, scene v1 and UI v1, being able to like pull those out or, copy pasting scene v1 into scene v2 and then making changes to scene v2. Like that's when it starts to pay off. So anyway, so that's the little bit that I'm still up to is, like trimming the hedges, so to speak. But then once those things are trimmed and I can build things without feature sets present or whatever, then 1.720 will be done. Oh yeah, that's a good point too. Is like things like CLine and PyCharm, they're pretty nice if you're working with those for just seeing the changes you've made for Git, or I think they support other version control systems too, but Git is the main one that I think most people use. Yeah, I always pronounce GUI as GUI or GUI as GUI. My I'm always teasing my girlfriend from Poland because like in English she winds up pronouncing a lot of abbreviations like SUV. It shows to like SUV. I think that's just kind of a common thing there. Apparently, I guess you say just to pronounce those things instead of saying SUV. But I'm just realizing I'm doing that same thing now as saying GUI instead of GUI. I guess I say UI, but I feel like I never say GUI. Like I feel like that's too many syllables, so I just say GUI. But yeah, I'm definitely. Oh, another thing I've been trying to do is add little like readmes all over the place, so that on GitHub it kind of explains. Like they show up nicely on GitHub. So if you were, let's go back to my internal. So just trying to kind of explain little bits, like if you're navigating through source, tells like source, Ballistica. This kind of goes over like feature set layouts, like how stuff is organized in here, or has some links to various bits. Shows where like the script stuff lives, or the new feature set stuff, which is under config. Oh, okay. If I go to the top repo, config, feature sets, kind of. Well, there's not much here yet, but I will kind of expand some of this stuff to kind of explain like how these feature sets work, what that all is about and stuff. So just trying to document the source a little bit better for anyone who does want to kind of get their hands dirty and dive into that stuff. But yeah, I'm hoping to do a tutorial about like how to use feature sets if you want to like make a GitHub repo that has a collection of mods or something, and then you can just like make a total conversion of the game or something. It should make it easy to kind of maintain something like that. Let's see. I think maybe I have a nerdy example here I can show. Yeah, like here's the little test thing I've been doing, which this is basically I have this. So there's a little like spin-off command it's called, which this will show up in public when I next push, but it's under tools spin-off. But this is basically a little tool that you can use to like take the Ballistica kit repo, like the core version of the game, and kind of like push it into another repo or make like a spin-off version, which is like filtered and has your own stuff in it, but some of Ballistica kit. So if I run this little command, it's basically just doing a test of that. So it's just doing, let's see, what is it doing? This is the core of it. Like it's running tools, spin-off, create something called spin-off test with just the core feature set and make it there. So if I run that, you get this little thing, which this is something you could throw into into a Git repo itself. It's basically just like a spin-off config and a link to the spin-off command. So now if I go into here, cd into here, and then I run tools spin-off update, this uses the spin-off tool to basically bring in like the parts of Ballistica that it wants. So I ran that. A moment later, it takes a minute. Okay, 7,255 files updated. And so now in your little repo here, basically it pulled in everything from like Ballistica core or Ballistica kit, renamed it all to spin-off test. But it also did filtering. Like in this case, it only pulled in like the core feature set. So you can see like there's barely any source code here. So if I try to compile this, make cmake. So it's going to go through and actually it'll probably, yeah, it's going to compile all the assets first because it didn't filter any of those out. So give it a minute. Good time for a sip of coffee. Okay, there we go. So there it tried to compile the C code, C++ code, but then it hit some problems because it's like missing bits. So you can see like since all it has is shared code and core code, it's missing certain things like oh, we need this header from the base system and stuff like this. So this is what I'm talking about with like pruning things. So like the game, it should be able to build with nothing but core because core should have no dependencies on other stuff. but it's currently not. So that's why I have to like clean up these dependencies. And then, yeah, the same thing with like scene v1, like clean up those dependencies so that we can rip scene v1 out if we want. But then the cool thing is then you'll be able to like create spin-off versions of the game that have like, you know, only parts you want, just like some core gameplay plus maybe your own set of gameplay rules or assets or something like that. So so it'll be fun to play with. It probably seems very technical and like pointless right now, but trust me, it'll be worth it. Because I'm using that for like that's how Bomb Squad is built, using this spin-off stuff. It's basically taking the Ballistica kit and smashing that down into Bomb Squad. And then that means we can start adding more stuff to Ballistica kit, like editors or things like that too, or, you know, stuff that would only be useful for like hacking or developing. And then that stuff will get stripped out for Bomb Squad. So that'll be fun to play with. New mug. Oh, have you not seen my mug? This is my like super cool, my fancy techno mug. So my girlfriend got me for this for my birthday. It's like a smart mug, so it keeps my coffee at exactly some particular temperature. It's ridiculous. I love it. So yeah, it has a cool light. Though the light's on this side. But yeah, as you can see, like that light. The light is on, meaning it's working. It's like the most point. Like I feel it's like first world problems incarnate. And I think I mentioned this last week, where it does make me feel a bit torn because I quite enjoy it keeps coffee at a very consistent temperature, but then I like never use my other mugs now. So like I have all these, you know, fun variety of mugs just like sitting there, but then if I use those, then my coffee like gets too cold and stuff. So I just don't know what to do. Yeah. Yeah, it's a very troubling coffee paradox. It's almost like if I could somehow like install like the lining of this mug into those other mugs. I don't know. Or I have my like coffee warmer. I have this little thing that sits under the coffee cup and like warms it up, but it's not like it doesn't work as precisely as my fancy B9000 coffee mug. So, whatever. But yeah, that's another thing. Yeah, going back, this is another definitely on the to-do list is Bomb Squad themed mugs. Just still need to find a way to produce them. That is true. Yeah, I could pour one from I could keep the other mug here next to the smart mug and then just like pour the coffee in, take a drink, and then pour it back in the smart mug. So, or some sort of like pump system that would kind of, you know, keep coffee pumping between the smart mug and the other mug. There must be some technical solution to this. If it made like B9000 noises, that'd be cool. Hello. The VSC code works with all languages. I still like to play with Visual Studio Code sometime. Like I have opened it and poked around and it seems nice. But yeah, I'd be curious like if it would be worth trying to switch to or something. What do we have here? Oh boy. I'm curious. What is this just like really fast like pick up release or something, or like what causes that particular glitch? Or is that like server issues or something? It's fascinating. I would like to. It'd be cool to get arms to like stretch and stuff properly. I don't like that there's this like gap between the arm pieces. It should be possible to technically do. I would just need to like revisit the math and have it like stretch out the arms properly. Whoa. Holy moly. That was cool. I guess I could just full screen this. Actually, maybe I want full screen. Oh, jeez. What? I agree. Oh, back to that. What?
Run.
Dang. That guy's a dead eye with those. That's awesome. Oh, man. Ah, that makes me, that reminds me, I'd love for squads mode to, like, by default have replays, like, viewable by anyone or something. Or, I don't know, just some way to, like, when moments like that happen, to be able to, like, easily give people a link or something like that. That'd be awesome to just... I mean, I guess, like, it's better when people make videos like that to highlight those moments or whatever, but just trying to, like, capture the ones when they happen and keep them around, that'd be great. Or like a, I don't know, like after the round, like some button, just like save, you know, save cloud replay or something. I don't know. Well, what would happen, I mean, what could happen is, you know, for squads mode, like all the games would be happening on my servers. So technically I could, you know, keep every replay that happens or, you know, so it would already kind of be in the cloud, or I could, you know, upload that to, if there's like particular ones, you know, we could store them in the cloud or something. Oh, this is the... Wait, is this the same video? Jeez. Is that, like, modded in any way? Or is that people just, like, throwing the bomb and then punching it? Is that, like, a thing that human beings can do? I am the cloud. Oh, yeah, I guess that's probably true. Okay, so it's... I didn't realize that, so it's, like... sped up for dramatic effect. They do a good job, though. I was thinking, like, oh my god, how do they chuck the bomb that fast? Oh my gosh, that was awesome. No, Santa. What a short life. Good stuff. Darn touchscreen players. They're good. It would be interesting. Like, I wonder, like, the best touchscreen player, like, how good they are. You know, my assumption is, yeah, like controller players would always win. But yeah, like, wonder. It'd be interesting to like look at average skill levels or something, or like when there is matchmaking or something, like categorize people based on like how good do the touch players do against controller players or keyboard players or whatever. It's like the opposite you always hear with first-person shooters, where it's like mouse players are always assumed to have extra accuracy and stuff compared to controller players. But here it's kind of not the opposite, I guess. But like the controller players, I feel like definitely have the advantage here. Yeah, it'd be fun to I don't know, yeah, just like look at stats and stuff like this. I'm hoping. I keep thinking like I know I'm terrible. I've been promising like a REST API forever for the V2 stuff, and yeah, I'm just this 1720 stuff has been sucking up all my time. But it'd be cool to I don't know, expose some of these stats or something um, once squads mode is going. Just to it'd be neat to see what people could come up with. Maybe you could carve out your own little like squads league or something like that with your own scripts and keep stats for everyone, and something to yeah, I don't know, just to see what people could do in terms of ranking players or saying like some so and so's average kills per punch, or like average damage per round, or whatever. Like it'd be cool to yeah, just experiment. But in general, yeah, I think right now replay files are only local. It would be great, I don't know, at some point to at least have the option to upload them to the cloud. I know there's been a feature request for a long time of like easily sharing replays. I think that was it was a PR even at some point. Um, like yeah, any of that would be good to have. Like either automatically uploading local replays to the cloud, or like once games start to be played in the cloud, they can just like live there permanently. Yeah, it's I know. I guess for there's always going to be like some games that are purely local, so it's like we definitely want to deal with replays for those. So it's like we can't do everything cloud based, but at least for tournaments or competitive stuff or something where there's multiple people involved, it'd be great to always have replays available. Also, once if single player tournaments if we can transfer that stuff to run in the cloud, then we'll have kind of a records of everyone's run. Not that hacking should be possible if it's running on a public server, but it'd still be kind of cool to see like the first place player like watch how they did it. Oh yeah, there would definitely have to be a limit or something. I am I am learning very fast how expensive cloud server stuff is, so I definitely would have to limit people. That could be something where like if you've bought pro or if you've paid for tickets, or something where it's like you have like a paid version of the game, you'd have probably more cloud storage space available. I'd probably have to like limit it for the average person, unless that the cost isn't too crazy, but but servers are expensive. Like I was mentioning before a week or two ago, like this was a fun tax year because I'm spinning up all these cloud servers, but I haven't really started. I don't have downloads and things like that, or squads mode or stuff where it's like people would hopefully be buying more stuff because they're playing on cloud servers. So it's like they're not really paying for themselves yet. So it was a an interesting year in terms of just like how much I spent on servers versus how much the game made. It like almost canceled out. Um, but I know that's a very like temporary situation. So, uh, but yeah, I definitely have to think about that in terms of like the game has to make enough money to be able to run these servers. Either that, or I have to like spin down the number of servers. But that's no fun. I don't want to do that. Cool, cool. Well, anyone have any other topics or questions or thoughts or whatever? Otherwise, I know it's only been an hour and a half, but maybe I will get back to 1.720. I'm kind of excited about the idea of getting this up on the, getting this back up on the public GitHub repo soon. I don't know how soon that'll be, but I can mostly promise to have it done by next week. Maybe, hopefully, maybe within the next few days. I'll have to take a look. So what I'm currently working on is basically that. Like the stuff I was showing before is just finishing up. Like I basically moved all the source code around into like these feature set places. So like everything, if you look at, okay, I guess to nerd out for a second, if you look at what a feature set is defined under, for a project, you go to config feature sets. Like these are all the feature sets. A feature set is just, some chunk of functionality that's kind of grouped together. And so these each have a Python file, so there'll be like kind of ways you can customize your feature sets or whatever, or do like custom, get to that later. But so a feature set, there's a file here, and then also under assets, data, Python, there's a Python package corresponding to each feature set. So it's just BA and then the feature set name. So you can see like all of these, aside from this BA environment, which is a separate thing. But these are all corresponding to feature sets. So that's one place where feature set stuff lives. The second place is under the C++ code, so source Ballistica. You can see these are all corresponding to feature sets, aside from shared, which is the one place where it's like common code. And then the last place is under source meta. So what meta is like metaprogramming. That stands for metaprogramming. So this is basically like Python code that will get used to generate other code like C++ or whatever. And so these correspond to feature sets also. So it's like BA feature set name meta. So you see BA core meta, BA plus meta, BA scene v1 meta, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, so that's kind of what I've been doing, is moving everything into those feature sets. So they live under their feature set directories. And now I am, as I mentioned, the last thing I'm doing is basically cutting out interdependencies. So making all the feature sets like independent of each other, so we can add some, remove some, duplicate some, whatever. Because the goal is to be able to do like scene v2 and UI v2 and stuff like that cleanly, without having a bunch of like spaghetti code where it's like UI v1 has to stick around because base depends on UI v1, but we also have UI v2. So it's like the goal is to have the engine be very clean, where we can like rip chunks out, rip feature sets out, and plug new ones in, and that should make it very possible to kind of like cleanly evolve the game going forwards by just like adding new feature sets and ripping out old ones eventually. So that's where I am right now, is just like trying to finish up that little bit of pruning so that all the feature sets are kind of independent of each other. So anyway, hope that's not too nerdy for you all, but yeah. So yeah, just got to finish up that part. As I mentioned, there's a little bit of renaming still under, in particular, source assets, Python, or data, Python, like the BASTD. This shouldn't be here, so that this needs to be like a feature set, or under some feature set directories. So that's kind of the last thing. Yeah, aside from like fixing dependencies and moving that stuff, like that's the last thing for 1.720, and then it'll just be a matter of hopefully helping people to move their mods to the new names and fixing whatever bugs I caused by moving all this code around. So anyway, that's another long story long, but that's what I'm currently working on. So yeah, as soon as we're done with the casting today, I will be going back to doing that. Oh, a difference between BA and underscore BA. So underscore BA, in general in Python, when you see a module with underscore, a lot of times it's a native module, which means it's implemented in C or C++, or C usually. Python is all C. So that's kind of how Bomb Squad works as well. So the stuff under source Ballistica, this is all C++ code. And what this results in is basically, in this case, it's not called underscore BA anymore, but there's a module called underscore BA base. And that is basically the C++ stuff. So if I come into here, this should be compiling. Okay. So there's the engine. So if I import BA base, so the regular version of BA base is just a Python module that lives under source assets, BA data, Python. You can see like here's where all those things live. These are just Python packages. So it's just a bunch of directories with Python files under them. You can see this is kind of like the public like BA base, the public interface to the base feature set essentially. But there's also import BA base. So if you do import BA base, this is and a random useful Python thing is, so I have BA base, yeah, module BA base from there. I guess it tells you there, but one thing you can do is, sometimes when I'm curious, you can do like print file. This will just show you like where a module came from. So you can see like BA base is defined under this BA base directory /init.py. If you want to see where underscore BA base came from, there's no file. So it did not come from a file. So let's just print. Yeah, so you can see like module BA base is built in. So that means like it's a C code compiled in kind of magical module that it doesn't live on disk anywhere. It's just like compiled in as part of Python. And that is all the C++ stuff. So that's all the code that lives under Ballistica base, like all this stuff, which is most of the engine, like most of the core engine, like the graphics engine and all this stuff. Oh yeah, and underscore, I mean, in Python, generally underscore it means private. So if you have like private variables that are part of your class, you'll put an underscore, so foo or whatever, underscore foo. And that's kind of what it means in this case too. Like underscore BA base, it's a native module, but it also means that it's kind of like, you shouldn't use that directly. It's kind of a private part. Like you should use regular BA base. And regular BA base, which is, the regular package that we imported with all this stuff in it. Like this itself will use underscore BA base. So normally you should do everything through BA base or BA scene v1, or in the older version, just BA. And then generally that package itself will use the underscore version. So it is kind of like an internal thing, if that makes sense. I hope that makes sense. So yeah, so anyway, I hope that is a useful little Python tidbit. Yeah, so yeah, any other questions I missed or anything? No, I don't think so. So yeah, if anyone has any other comments, feel free to holler. Otherwise, I think I'll wrap up for the day and get back to work. Like I said, I'm very excited to finally get 1.720 done. Sorry to keep you all waiting this long. But I'm working very hard on it, and so it'll be here very soon. I probably will skip playing today. If anyone has any like mods or thoughts, maybe next week we can plan to play something. Sock will probably have a new update soon. He's so fast at getting his explodinary updates done, so we'll probably have something fun to play soon. But if anyone else has any ideas for like mods or things that would be fun to play, like let's get them on the schedule for next time or something. Sure, I'll hang around the Discord server for a few minutes if anyone has any things they want to say or whatever. I'll try to catch up on some private messages and things too. So anyway, everyone have a good week. It's been fun as always, and I will talk to you all folks later. Peace out.